Welcome, spooked listeners, to Goosebuds.
Goosebuds.
Goosebuds. Hi, my name is Chad. I'm here with my good friends Dom and Paul.
Hello.
Hi.
We like to get spooked by young adult fiction books from the late 90s, preferably the works of R.L. Stine.
Preferably.
And this is a straight edge podcast. We don't do drugs, even though it says Goosebuds in it. We're just friends. We're just good friends.
We're a couple of guys who are up to no good. Started reading Goosebumps in my neighborhood.
In a neighborhood, yeah.
And then Chad came up and said, hey, let's talk about those.
In like a house or and he was like, no, like on a podcast.
But maybe a
And
dead
here we
house, because that's the first episode.
On the internet.
On the internet, and you're like, that is the spookiest thing I've ever heard.
Well, because on the internet, everyone's kind of a ghost on the internet if you think about it, guys.
Oh, true. You know, it's also a really scary thing, but our voices, we'll be dead in like, I don't know, 30, 40 years at least. These voices will be recorded forever. And be like, those guys are just a bunch of dead ghosts now.
You know what's going to be weird is our sons and daughters are going to be listening to the dad voice. Now that's a Goosebumps story if I ever heard one.
Or the really spooky people will be like, why did we not know that one of those three hosts was a serial killer later on? Why did we not see the signs?
Why did we not see the signs? It was right in Goosebuds the whole time.
Goosebuds. Goosebumps, book 189, dad voice. Very scary Goosebumps.
Very scary Goosebumps.
Can't wait to talk about that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the Goosebumps lineage of books. I think we're going to do it chronologically as far as going through them. Maybe we'll change it up.
Absolutely. I want to get spooked in order.
I think if we go in order, we'll really kind of see the mind of R.L. Stine, who totally wrote all of these books by himself.
All by himself, all in front of his computer.
That guy's a worker, man. He showed up every day. He laced up his boots, and he got to writing, man. And he pumped out a book a week for a good 5 years.
Oh, at least. Yeah, there was times where his kids were like, please, just take me to school one day. He's like, I got to write about these skeletons. I'm sorry.
He's like, you want to go to work, kid? And the kid was like, yeah, and that's how books 14 through 36 were made.
He was like, do you want to be a skeleton or do you want me to write about these skeletons? Because there's two choices here, kids. And he didn't kill any. He didn't kill any of his kids. He didn't kill any of them. As far as I know, he didn't kill any. They all became books. They didn't.
Can this be a podcast about us just accusing R.L. Stine of murder? Can this just be us slandering his name?
Of just being real mean to his kids. Like, I remember one time R.L. Stine took one of his kids and he was like, did you know that deep down inside who you really are? And the kid was like, it's me, Jimmy. And he's like, no, you're a goddamn skeleton. And you're just walking around waiting to pop out of that body and spook some people.
I remember one time R.L. Stine locked up one of the neighborhood kids, not even one of his kids, in the basement. And he said he has food down there, but he just slowly slipped scorpions down through the cracks of the doors.
And then he made his artist sit down there and watch that so he could draw it for the
perfect
cover,
yeah.
Attack of the Stair Scorpions. Book 718.
I think it was book 83 that was I killed my kid and now he's a skeleton, which was actually autobiographical. Argued that it was autobiographical.
It was actually a confessional. It was completely. It said this was not Goosebumps. I'm distributing it under the Goosebumps flag, but it just says real story on the front, and it's about how he murdered his children.
Which a lot of people don't realize. The O.J. Simpson book, If I Did It, is actually a Goosebumps book. A very similar one.
It's one for adults.
It's ghost written by R.L. Stine.
Guys, since we're going to dedicate a podcast towards this book series, why don't we go around and talk about like what this book series meant to us growing up? Because we had to have some sort of connection, right, to do this?
Right, absolutely, yeah.
Hell yeah, and it's all about the Scholastic Book Club.
Book of the Month Club, dude.
Which is probably not a thing anymore. I got to assume that's been outlawed somehow in the schools.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, you can't sell dumb books to our kids anymore. Get out of here.
There was
what was that
better.
other series, Space Brat? Did you read that?
Space
I don't know
Brat?
what you're. I don't know.
Yeah,
what
it was about this like alien who threw these like temper tantrums and got his way.
That sounds like the worst book series. It sounds
that's-
like
it's
Bart
It's
Simpson.
a brat. Yeah, he's a jerk. Anyway, it was all about getting Scholastic and then being like, which Goosebumps are in here? And you passed over like the Nelson Mandela like autobiography
bull.
that was there for some reason.
Yeah.
And then you passed
Ramona
over
Quimby,
the Gremlins.
Ramona Quimby, yeah, right.
You passed over the Gremlins 2 adaptation with full color photos.
Oh, that one spooked the shit out of me.
Eight pages of photos in the center of it.
Eight pages of photos. The rest of it is as someone had to sit there, take the screenplay, and write a book about it. Write the book version.
Oh yeah, all the adaptations of like just movies you wouldn't be able to see as a kid. I have the book adaptation of Me, Myself, and Irene for some reason, just to share.
What?
They made that?
They made it for every movie for a while, but those are all in the Scholastic book school. Even one about a guy fucking a watermelon.
You want to know when America lost its literacy? When they'll be able to pinpoint it in history books? They'll be like, in 1998 they stopped making book adaptations of movies, and that was when people stopped reading books. That's when they knew it was over.
Sorry, I only read books if they're a movie.
The real actually hidden gem to those is that the writer sometimes would change the plot to the movie.
What?
Which is crazy.
Really?
Like I had one for Space Jam. The ending to Space Jam is different in the book version than the movie.
You're
You have
kidding
to tell
me.
us what it is. This is huge.
I heard this story. Stanley Kubrick directed that, and the last chapter wasn't in the book when he got it.
He wasn't happy with the adaptation
It's in
of
the
it.
English edition, but it's not in the American.
Right.
Like the Space Jam book ends with the same kind of general, like we can't beat the Monstars, they're just too good. And then the doors to the gym burst open and a tumbleweed comes blowing in. And Roadrunner shows up, and he goes, meep, meep, and Roadrunner beats all of the monsters because he would be the best at basketball since he's the Flash.
You're right.
What?
Roadrunner beats all of the Monstars because obviously the writer just loved Roadrunner, and that is the end of the book.
Yeah, he was like, you know who's not in this movie enough? My man, Roadrunner.
And that's the end of it. Like Bill Murray's like, oh, he did a good job, and that's the end of the book.
Oh, my God.
Wait. Okay, I'm going to admit something. Haven't watched Space Jam for a really long time. Bill Murray was in that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, he shows up at the end.
What?
He says, what a great Space Jam.
Oh,
And then it's the end of the movie.
Oh my God, I gotta get out of here, guys. All right, Goosebuds is over. I'm gonna start a new podcast. It's called Airbuds, and it's not about Airbud. It's about Space Jam, but it's called Airbuds.
But we're already way off topic on Goosebumps. But besides
Anyway,
the
back
Scholastic Book
back
Club.
to this Scholastic thing, right?
All right.
You got to Goosebumps, right? And you were like, oh, shit. What is it this month?
Right.
A spooky hand coming out of a door? A goddamn walking around dummy who's talking and he's living around? What is it going to be? And then it was like the Hammerhead Shark one. You were like, I'm going to pass on this one. It doesn't look that scary.
Sharks are in the real world, and that's a real world of scary that I don't want to experience in this. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of the value of Goosebumps since it was just a franchise, and they were also all over the place because we can admit now at this point, we can talk later, but R.L. Stine did not write all of these. I know I said it earlier. He did not. But like you're like Goosebumps, so you will go from like Monster Blood to Beware of the Beast to like just the Shark book. And you're like, these don't all sound interesting, but I'll trust R.L. Stine. So it almost made you read other genres you wouldn't read.
I was scared of bees one because killer bees were a thing in the 90s.
They were killer bees, man. They're coming back.
I know we fought them in the Great War against the bees in '98, but they're coming back.
I remember watching a movie where a family was it was a made-for-TV movie based off of real events
that.
where a family was attacked by killer bees.
And it would like cover their entire body in bees.
And then bee the fuck out of you until you die. They're coming, man. Killer bees are coming.
From Africa, dude. They're coming over. We're done.
Besides the Scholastic alert, because it was a colorful catalog, was there anything else that drew you guys? Was there anything else that drew you guys?
How did we ever think that bees made it over from Africa?
Well, because people were like, hey, all this stuff is killing the bees. And then they were like, okay, well, we should probably tell people that bees are bad. So let's spread that campaign.
Also, bees are really good at stowing aboard like ocean liners and just hijacking it as a sentient mass of bees.
And you know those motherfuckers can fly.
They could go forever.
They'd rather take the boat.
They fly over the entire ocean, dude. They just fly across the ocean. Amelia Earhart, bees did it first.
Bees did it first. But I'm sorry, Chad. Were you trying to transition to what was it about these books that we liked?
Yeah, the idea was like, I mean, to me, it was very much the like, I've trusted this man. I will start reading everything he wrote because I was very naive and like, this is R.L. Stine's vision. All of these, so you just read every month, and it was like $5.
Is that what you were like when you first interacted with Goosebumps?
I mean, I bought in early and just got it every month. And then I remember my mom going like, you're not going to need to buy all of these. And I was like, yeah, I do want to have a bookshelf with all of them, 1 through however many. That was my kind of like attachment to Goosebumps. You're kind of buying in almost like a comic book where you just get every issue.
Well, what was rad about it is that if you missed a month or like you started collecting somewhere in the middle, you could go to like these weird bookstores back when people owned bookstores and it wasn't just Barnes and Nobles. It's still like that today, I understand, but it's not so much. Anyway, you would go to these stores and you'd be like, oh shit, that's that Goosebumps that I don't have. And you would pay full price for it.
And you'd be so grateful because again, it was like $4 or $5, which was like children's money. You could still get that with a weekly allowance.
Were they $5?
And I'll be honest. I didn't read too much of these because I just fucking loved the cover art and I thought they were cool as fuck.
So you just buy them and stare at them like wall art?
Well, yeah, I would check them out. I would read them. I would read most of them, but I would say I didn't finish most of them.
I have a completely different experience from you guys. Me as a kid, and Dom knows a little bit about my history as a child.
I do.
I was a little bit of a scared kid because I had some things that scared me a lot, and I was scared of Goosebumps to start when it first came out. I remember being like, "Oh, I don't want to read that. That's too spooky." And then I remember reading one, and we'll probably talk about this. I was reading one, and I was like, "This shit ain't scary." Because he does the fucking like cliffhanger at the end of the chapter, and you get to the end of it, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is so scary. This is horrifying." And then you read the next chapter, and it was like, "Nah, it's not scary. It's just some normal shit that happened."
Yeah, everyone. That's the Goosebumps trope: is that every chapter ends with, "And then something touched his hand," and then you turn the page, and it's literally, it was his mom.
I'm instantly realizing that with reading this first book of how much it is. Should we just jump into the first book?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so this book might be the most boring one that I recall from Goosebumps, but maybe I'm just now a grown adult.
You know what? As a kid, I remember, and this is Welcome to Dead House, Goosebumps 1.
Oh, thank you very much.
Goosebumps 1, Goosebumps 1, yeah.
Goosebumps 1, Goosebumps 1. It'll always be that way, folks. But I remember this one as being a particularly darker Goosebumps book.
This is true.
Now revisiting it, I found that is pretty true. I think this is as dark as the series really gets.
I never read this one, oddly enough, because I was too scared. So I didn't start at
It is a
number 1.
spooky old house on the cover.
Yeah,
real
just the
spooky
premise
old house.
of just a haunted house is not nearly as interesting as in green stuff that makes you grow large or a living dummy. It's just a ghost house.
It said dead on the front of it, and that was the thing I was scared of, so I wasn't about to mess with
Well,
that.
Paul, you read the cover, which was "Welcome to Dead House," and you were like, "Okay, spooked one." And then you read the byline on the cover there, and it said, "It will just kill you."
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I was like, why would I want that?
What was the inflection for this byline, "It'll just kill you"? Was it like kind of sassy, like a guy from like E, like "It'll just kill you," like that kind of thing, or was it?
Or is it really funny inside? I don't know. Is it gonna kill me in a comedic sense? I hope.
Or more, it's like a shoulder shrugging, like "It'll just kill you."
It's just gonna kill you.
It was the 90s. It was the 90s, so it was definitely, it'll just kill you.
The general idea is, I mean, it's not a lot to spoil. It's a pretty basic idea is family moves into neighborhood. It's pretty creepy and abandoned. And boy, oh boy, are there a lot of ghosts.
There's a lot of ghosts. And what are the kids' names? It's Josh, right? One of them is Josh.
One of them's like
the son.
Ray. One of them's like
what?
Gertrude, which should have been like a major sign.
Wait. I gotta look this up. I don't think Gertrude was the name of the girl, was it?
No, there was one that was like Dolores Hickanini. And it was like, that's an old lady name, but you're a 7-year-old girl.
Oh, right, later on.
Oh, the
you know
kids.
what? That's actually a good point that he actually named the other children old names, which makes sense.
Oh, sorry, Karen Somerset, which to me just sounds like an old lady's name somehow.
Karen.
Yeah, not as bad as Dolores, but it still seems like an old lady name, that Karen.
The kids are named Amanda and Josh, which are very mid-90s names. Without a
Oh,
doubt.
yeah. You're talking cream of the crop. Like, 3 Amandas and at least 2 Joshes.
Yep,
in
I
elementary
knew
school.
multiple Amandas in elementary school. Absolutely.
You either knew a lot of Amandas or a lot of Ashleys.
There were multiple.
A lot of Mikes.
Mike was
Mikes, yeah, a couple of
huge.
Mikes.
A lot of Sarahs. Anyway, let's just think about all the kids I knew and all the things they've done wrong to me. You were saying how dark this was. Yeah, like, what are some of the crazy things? The first thing that comes to my mind is, and guys, I really wanted to talk about immediately was skeletons eating skeletons.
Hold on, I wrote 3 bullet points for this one.
Okay.
This book has it all. Skeleton cannibalism, ghost mercy killings, ghost genocide.
Okay, yeah. We got to talk about the idea that, so the first thing we reference is the main girl character has a vision of like her family as skeletons eating other bones. Not even like, oh, they're eating turkey and you just saw the bones. Like they're just chowing down on a KFC bucket of bones.
Not even maggoty ass meat like a goblin would eat in Lord of the Rings. This is bones, just bones.
This is some fucking Gollum ass gnawing on an old bones.
Like a very nonchalant too. Remember the description was, it wasn't like they were just voraciously jumping all over. Like just like, huh, yeah, I got soccer practice later today, and just as they gnaw on a bone.
And then their faces started to fall apart, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of like very, very visual descriptions of like flesh falling off of them, because all of these ghost people are weak to light. Though that was kind of a strange thing because they were out in the daytime, weren't they? Like all the time.
Yeah, the main villain of the book, his name's Compton Dawes. He plays the real estate agent at the beginning.
Compton Dawes.
Compton Dawes.
Old Compton.
He's out showing him around during the daytime, and his way of getting around being weak to sunlight is he puts on a cowboy hat.
Yeah, that was my first thought. Was I didn't realize he was a ghost yet, but when he shows them around, he puts on the cowboy hat because the dog runs away, and boy oh boy is Petey a real rapscallion, the dog. But I was like, oh, this is my like child and dog finding cowboy hat. Like he just put it on as part of his uniform.
Yeah.
So let's go through it here. So the kids move into the house, and then there's Compton. That's what you were just talking about. And he's like, "Welcome to the neighborhood. Welcome to it's called." Is it called
Dark Falls?
Dark Falls, right?
Falls.
Welcome to Dark Falls, a place that will never exist ever because no one would live there.
Yeah, did they rename the neighborhood Dark Falls, or was it a neighborhood originally called Dark Falls? I'm like, why is no one moving in here? This is a terrible development.
Well, I think they got together as ghosts, and they voted at Ghost City Hall to change it.
Yeah, this is the main questions of like it's essentially a ghost neighborhood where we'll just jump to the end of it. They reveal that they bring in people like every year or so to move in, and then they kill them for their blood, which doesn't really explain why, but it's ghosts. So why question them?
They never really say what they need the blood for.
Well, I think it's a thing that children know that they need. So R.L. Stine was like, "We need your blood," and as a kid, you're like, "No, I need that.
I have a limited supply of blood."
You're like, that's the basic science that I understand in 5th grade is that blood is important to me. I know
you only get so much.
But the main question was, how did the ghosts put out a listing for the house?
Because the uncle, the dead great uncle, which I made a note of, never ever accept a house from your now dead great uncle who never knew, who lived in the town you don't know exists. Never do that.
The uncle was fake, right? Didn't they reveal that the uncle wasn't even real? They're like, oh yeah, you got tricked. It was just us putting out a listing and telling you there was your house.
Yeah. Because it's a form letter. See, this was the early 90s. People weren't wise to form letters at that point.
So Dawson or whatever Dawes is going to the post office and sending a letter.
The ghost post office, yes.
The ghost post office.
The ghost office.
And sending a letter that says, like, Dear sir or madame, we have informed you. Like, they're just doing the Nigerian prince scam.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what the Nigerian prince scam is at the end, man.
Oh my god, if you actually go collect the money, just a ghost Nigerian.
Yeah, you just go to Ghost Town, USA.
You go to Ghost Africa, yeah, man.
Also, you guys brought up Petey, which is their dog, who hates Compton. Something's wrong, guys. Something's weird about Compton. I don't know, because the dog just ran away. And that's pretty much what the dog does the whole goddamn book.
The dog runs away the whole book and leads them to new things.
The book should have been called,
Hey, Where's My Dog?
Dude, Where's My Dog?
The barking dog.
Petey the worst dog. Or their parents, by the way, which are the worst parents.
Very bad.
Their parents are typically, I'm too busy to listen to your crazy stories about what's really going on.
Yeah.
I have to do the dishes.
And not even like crazy stories sometimes. Like the first thing the parents are bothered by is that they have to find their child. And they're like, ugh, I don't know. He's okay, I guess. Like your son is gone.
Dude, I made a note because the mom said, I'll kill him. And then literally 1 page later, she says, "I'll kill him. I really will." And Amanda said, "That wasn't the first time she said that about Josh." And I was like, "Yeah, she said it a page ago. She said it a page ago. I took notes of it."
Oh yeah, and also the fact that like the dad, I tried to make note of it. There's no point. What is their job? What do the parents have as a career? Because I was trying to focus on like.
The dad's quit his office job to focus on his writing career, which I made a note of. Oh shit, we got a The Shining situation here.
I missed that detail.
That's basically what this book is. It's The Shining spread out throughout a whole town, starring kids and skeletons who eat bones.
Oh my God, you're right. It is just The Shining, except where they want to add them to the collective, much like the book version of The Shining is even more.
Where they want to add, Danny. Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what it is. I remember reading it and being like, "This is The Shining."
Yeah, but the problem was the dad was like, "Oh, we got a free house," but he forgot about paying for food, electric, heat, school, taxes, and also Ghostbusters. He forgot about paying for that.
He also forgot about selling his old house because apparently he's like, "We still haven't sold it, and well, I guess I'm really banking on that to eat a can of beans."
Yeah, no, the
next
description
week
of that, there is a
because we have
line I made a note of where the girl says, and maybe she just understand money, but if once we sell the old house, we'll never have to worry about money again. So what is that house? And is that just like a gold house that they are just giving?
We didn't like the color.
Yeah, it's like whenever they sell that, it's like they must have just flipped it real hard, and they're just gonna live off of that house money. But then if you did, why leave that house? Because you have a house.
That's made of gold.
Yeah, and also the house didn't seem that great, so why would you be lured to lured out to take your whole family to write where you can write anywhere?
Right.
No, I need to be alone in a big house with my family.
Also, imagine that man who has no emotion or any concern, just what he writes. What if they revealed like what his book is? It would just be soulless, emotionless.
That would have been fantastic.
He's probably writing romantic, like extremely romantic graphic novels.
Extremely romantic.
Dude, I read one in Ralph's the other day, which was just vile. It was, I mean, not vile, but it was pretty graphic. It was in Ralph's. Anyway.
You can get it at Ralph's grocery store. All of those are just like more and more erotic porn that you didn't realize.
There's a very graphic blowjob scene that I read in Ralph's. Next to the eggs.
If you want to never look at Bill O'Reilly ever again, look up the detective novels that he used to write, and they're like softcore erotic fiction in the middle of his stories where his insert character just rubs his nose in women's lady parts, and it's like this is in your book, and then like my parents buy those, and it's like, oh, this is good hard conservative journalism. Like it's crazy what's in these just romance novels.
A good conservative doesn't lick a vagina; he rubs his nose in it.
There's a lot of nose rubbing.
He shames himself in it.
I wanted to mention too.
So Amanda sees a ghost.
Amanda
in
sees
the house.
Several ghosts over the course of time. Kind of is okay with them. Like she freaks out, but then she instantly just kind of lets them go.
Well, my big problem with this book. Well, okay, maybe it's not the big problem. But one of my big problems with this book is those fucking curtains that below that we have to know about. That R.L. Stine took the time to tell us about.
Oh, yeah, so there's curtains. Her window curtains, even though the window's closed, are blowing a lot, which is like, does that mean a ghost is just there just waving them? Like, or...
Well, that's the thing. The first time she goes, the window was open. The second time, the window's not open. Then guess how much we hear about the window for the rest of the book? Never. It's
again.
Never mentioned ever again.
Never,
Who cares?
You could have done a cool, like, foreshadowing, like, oh, the girl who lived in this house, like, fell out the window or something, or just something... to even imply that the window has any significance.
Make them a little spookier other than, these are some spooky-ass curtains. Like, in Chapter 5, before she even deals with the curtains, she walks into the house, and she's, like, walking through it, exploring it, and she says, the door, creaking slowly like a door in a haunted movie house, closed a little more. And I was like, I did a 5-second rewrite, because I was like, that could rewrite that scene right there. And I said, the door, creaking like a scary thing from something else, so I don't have to do any hard work here, closed a little more.
Yeah, we want to talk about, like, cutting corners. Also, I mean, maybe he was just padding it, but there is a lot of description of basic outfits and, like, things that people wear. Like, I keep thinking, like, these are all going to be hints or something. Like, if you're going to make the time to point out that a character is wearing, like, blue pants with brown shoes, you want that so that later on a character's hiding under a bed and sees, like, those same brown shoes, and you're like, oh, that's a callback. I know who that is. Most of the characters are just described, like, what exactly they're wearing, what color their hat is.
Right.
what their look looks like. I was like, I think you were just adding on 10 to 20 pages.
Yeah. Yeah, he does that, but okay, he does a lot of things wrong like that. Let me just say one thing that he does right in this book that makes it scary for a kid reading it. You know what he does that's right is he takes these kids and he puts them into this scary situation and he makes the parents not listen to them. And I agree that they're bad parents because they don't listen to a lot of the shit that they say. But this is the type of stuff that you deal with as a kid. You're like, oh, my parents don't listen to me. And he does that and he plays off of that pretty well in the beginning.
That's true.
Of it.
I mean, from a kid's perspective, you're like, oh man, that would be terrifying if I was just left alone to wander these playgrounds by myself.
I always love that about logic for children in like horror movies is that like they'll be like, oh, we'll just tell mom and dad and they'll call the cops. Be like, you think the cops are gonna stop Dracula? Be like, well, you're right. I guess children with pieces of wood will stop Dracula.
These are all pretty easy ghosts to stop. We don't know. So later on, eventually the ghosts play their cards because the kids Petey just can't stop snooping in the graveyard and finding tombstones with their names on it.
Right.
And then they play the card of like, we already have your parents. Which is also like, so there's a point later on where Dawes is like, oh, it's okay, kids. I know you think there's ghosts here, but I'll get you out of here. And he just drives them to the ghosts.
Yeah, motherfucker drives them to the ghost in his goddamn cowboy hat.
In the car. So they operate, like they essentially live. In some ways, being a ghost might be okay when you just get to do everything.
That's what I was thinking.
You just need a little blood, guys.
You just need a little blood.
They got to figure it out over at Dark Falls.
Yeah, what's the sacrifice of one person's blood in order to be a ghost that has a good time most of the time, you know?
Yeah, there's no real downside. They get to play. I mean, they don't really ever seem to complain at any point about how... That's part of the normal horror trope is like, if they're immortal, like, I can't taste food anymore, or I don't know love, or I can't get an erection, or whatever it is. You're like, oh yeah, it would suck to be immortal because there's some tradebacks. So far we know is like they can't be out in the sun, but they have an awesome park and a really cool in the graveyard arboretum theater where they probably do Shakespeare in the park or something.
Yeah, definitely. But when the meetings aren't about sucking blood out of the humans that just moved in, they probably do some Shakespeare, without a doubt.
By the way, a dog dies in this book.
Yeah, that's the saddest part. Like,
so that's as dark as Goosebumps gets. A dog will die. Like nobody else dies in Goosebumps, as far as I know.
As far as I remember, no people die in it. Actually,
they're more just.
But they're like, yeah, we killed your fucking
thing.
Dog.
This is like
they
the dog.
say we killed your dog.
Yeah, they're like,
right?
we killed your dog, and now we're gonna kill you. We have your parents tied up, which is a strange ghost thing to do. Like not have them like levitating and floating, because essentially this always keeps convening in this some sort of strange. I think it very much like the Hollywood Bowl in L.A., but just surrounded in a graveyard.
That's what I was imagining it as, actually. I was using that for reference. I was using the Hollywood Bowl. I was like, okay, that's where they are. That's the picture in my
But it's
mind.
like next to the graveyard for some reason. So did they build that? Like once they were all ghost towns, like, well, we got to have a fun place to hang out.
Well, we have to have the theater.
What happens if U2 wants to come by and perform? We're not going to have a venue for them. So they're all like doing
There has to be Shakespeare.
But here's the thing: we don't know if they used ghost rope. They could have used ghost rope.
Oh yeah, like but that would be a scary thing to do, like ghost rope or like them levitating or just held by invisible. Instead, they're just tied up like bad guys in a Die Hard movie would do.
Like a lady who's gonna be run over by a train.
Right.
They're using the same methods that wild ass West men did. Your ghosts, just use your ghost magic. You're already walking around driving cars and killing dogs. Just use your magic.
Also, the other thing to think about is I was going to point out, like, what is the ritual for blood? I just realized if they just need blood, just withdraw blood. Get a nice family to move in and be like, hey, throughout the year, we'd like you to do, like, monthly blood payments to us. We'll just withdraw a little bit. We'll bring you over some sugar cookies because I guess we can bake things because we can manipulate objects.
You could even hide it under the Red Cross. You'd be like, everyone in the town does it. You got to do it.
Yeah. And you just live forever, and you have nice human neighbors who never know.
Ghosts, inherently evil and dumb.
You know what this book's about? Sustainable farming, guys. We didn't get it at the time.
We didn't get it.
Resources. The one detail that is most interesting. That's like where me wanted to. The one most interesting thing is where they kind of hint at what happened and made the whole town ghosts.
Right.
And it's that there was like a factory explosion and then a yellow mist went over the town and that was the end of it. And I was like, that's what I want to know about. I want to know about that weird yellow ghost thing.
Yeah, that's the scariest part of the book is yellow mist.
It just takes over and turns everyone like that.
But
probably that ordeal when that happened is way more terrifying than we tricked you. Got a ghost house you moved into.
Right.
But you gotta admit it was pretty good writing when R.L. Stine was like, and the ghost mist flew over the city or flew over the town, and it had on brown shoes and blue jeans.
Other really good R.L. Stine writing moments in this book. I really like I wrote this down because I thought it was so good. Is when the ghost kids kind of start confronting our main characters, his brother and sister, and like they're playing their whole cards like, yeah, we're ghosts, we're gonna get you now, and they're just kind of smiling creepily. There's a line where the main girl character says like, you're in our house, and the other girl goes, now we're dead in your house, and I just imagine them all like high-fiving each other like, yeah.
Yeah, we got the title call out in, guys. We did it. Yeah.
We did it. We're dead. We're dead children.
There's a lot of little like trying to put in subtle things where like, man, this traffic's just gonna kill me. Like little weird lines like that where the ghosts are all just hinting at like, we do kill people.
Boy, I'm dead tired. Like that's what Compton Dawes kept saying every time he was in the room. Like, we get it. You're a ghost.
Yeah. So like the way this,
you know what's funny trivia that I heard about this, and because I did some more reading on this book throughout the week because I did that for some reason. But apparently Petey is. Then this might not be true. This is something I read. Petey is the ghost in The Barking Ghost, which is another.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
That's what I heard.
It's a callback.
Yeah, it's a callback.
Oh, okay. We'll have to wait until we get to The Barking Ghost, which I think is like.
I think it's 32. I think it's book 32.
Okay.
well, that's gonna be about a year from now, but okay.
Oh, at least. That's actually interesting. I did kind of like, not to go off time, but I did like when Goosebumps kind of could call back to each other, like either the sequels or the thing I would love most as a kid is if I found out that like I believe there's a series where Monster Blood goes in Slappy or something. Did I imagine that like a fever dream?
I don't
Wait,
know.
he goes into what?
I thought I remembered a time in the
Slappy was
series.
the doll, right?
Slappy was the doll, and Monster Blood was that green, like experimental goo that made you grow big.
Oh, right.
I have this memory of like Slappy eating Monster Blood and getting bigger, and either
Maybe
I imagined that in a fever dream, or they did start to do more crossovers in the series.
You may have read that on my Goosebumps fanfiction web ring, where I post some stories on my Angel Fire site.
But if this is all in one world, which we'll have to look into for theories to see if this all connects, kind of like, oh yeah, you know how all the Pixar characters are all in the same universe, or all the Disney characters are? All the Goosebumps are all happening in one country.
Right.
In Dark Falls,
in
USA.
Dark Falls.
So we get to this. They got the parents tied up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they say, I know how we'll kill them, because they throughout at some point in the book they discover that daylight kills ghosts.
Yeah, you put a flashlight on a kid ghost, and you see his skin and bones just
His
melt away.
Hold on. So this book is like we were saying is pretty. It's pretty edgy and dark for a Goosebumps book because kids don't die. There's fucking face melting in this book, man.
The little girl's ghost friend, she looks and sees her face explode and melt.
Here's what she says. Here's the thing. They kill her. They kill Karen Somerset, and the fucking girl thanks her for it. The mercy killing. That's what I was talking about at the beginning.
Thank you.
That was the
She
craziest
says, "Thanks,
detail.
Amanda."
When she wanted to go out, she was like, "Thank you for this sweet release," which is a common ghost trope, but no one's holding them to any of their ghost life. Like they could, if they wanted to leave, they could we're gonna step out into the daylight. We could do it instantly. They could all go away.
They could all. Yeah, well, that's cowardly though for a ghost to kill
themselves.
They
They need to go out fighting, I guess.
Yeah, you got to go out fighting. That's the other thing. Like, if you're in pain, maybe just tell your friend, be like, yeah, I'm a ghost. And be like, by the way, could you help me move on, instead of I'm a ghost, now be one of us.
Yeah, it's kind of like ghost Catholics where you can't suicide and you can't do assisted suicide, but if you die in battle, you're okay.
Yeah.
The other thing that really bothered me...
the Ghost Crusade at the end.
They
gave them all
just make child soldiers.
Old Ghost God. You got to be true to Old Ghost God.
Were you guys confused all about the layout of... I know they just need to be practical, but the main climax of the book is that, okay, our parents are tied up. The ghosts are convening for, I guess, the blood sacrifice, where I guess they're just going to bite down on them. Who knows?
Who knows? And they're like, okay, if we can just get some sunlight on them, there's this giant tree. If we can push it over,
It'll cast sunlight down on the entire arboretum. It's like, what is the layout for this entire cemetery?
Yeah, where is this tree? That was a big question mark for me because I couldn't imagine what the hell was going on.
Here's what I'm imagining.
Because I was like, where is this exactly? Also, two children have the two children idea of pushing a tree over. Two children will just push a tree over, and it'll save our parents from the ghosts.
Which is a thing that I think as a kid I never thought I could do. I think that's more of like, now when I'm as an adult, I'm like, yeah, I could heel kick that thing. But as a kid, I'd be like, that's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would be like,
and they do it, and it happens.
Yeah, I would be like, tree equals bigger than me. I know basic science. My mass is less than that. I'm not going to push that tree over. Yeah.
And that is one of the best examples of, and you already referenced it, but I think it's worth mentioning, is how much the chapters end on a weird cliffhanger of the tree, for example, like, we can push it, and then they pushed. Oh no, the tree's not going to go down. End of chapter, cliffhanger. Oh no.
Beginning of next chapter, the tree fell over.
To fall. Like,
the tree just got done falling over. You're like, wait, what?
So all of the Goosebumps books, if these all follow that same pattern, like I remember, it's always going to be like, now wait just a second before you end the chapter.
Well, I read a note about that. I was like, how did R.L. Stine not bankrupt his credibility with me and other kids? Because he fakes you out every 5 pages. He fakes you out constantly. Like, how did I go along for however many Goosebumps books that I read and go, you know what? Maybe something spooky's around the corner this time. Every single time.
Well, that's the thing, is that he would just fill his stories with red herrings and things that don't go anywhere. And then by the end of the book, he'd be like, by the way, this was happening the whole
Which is the
time.
most interesting part. So what are some of the really bad cliffhangers we can think of? The very beginning, they go to the graveyard and it's like, it looks like my brother is being chased by something because he's diving back and forth between gravestones.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Next
That's
page.
probably my favorite, is when he's being chased by a ghost.
Next
But
page.
really, he was. What was he doing?
Next page,
Chad?
he was chasing the dog. It's like,
Yeah.
oh wait,
Chasing
I realized
fucking
he was
Petey.
chasing the dog, or like. Then and that's when the ghost put his hand on my shoulder. Next page, it was my brother. Like,
Yep. I wrote that chapter 4. It says I wrote another cliffhanger, and then in parentheses I wrote obviously Josh, and then I wrote chapter 5. It was Josh.
yeah, or like there's one in the end of chapter 9 is they're hanging out with the kids. The kids started to tighten a circle around us. The kids were closing in. Next page, no, they weren't. I misread the situation. It's just like someone just going like, wait 5 seconds, narrator, before you tell us what's happening.
Here's the worst one. This is the worst one. It's the final chapter. They're like, fuck it, let's get out of Ghost Town, USA. They're packing up. They're about to leave. Wait a second. Another car comes up.
Right.
And it's a new family, and they're moving into the house.
Oh, that pissed me off so much.
And what do? They don't tell them that it's goddamn Ghost Town. They condemn them to being tied up by ghosts and suffering the same consequences. They just fucking hightail it out.
Yeah, and you see the realtor Compton, like, he's back, and I don't understand, like, what are you in a rush to get to? You either are worried they're going to tie you up again, but you're not, because you can overpower them at this point, and it's the broad daylight. You can be like, hey, excuse me, I don't know if you want to move into that house. It's a ghost house.
By the way, that man who is selling you this house, he tied me. He's a ghost first. He's a ghost. And he tied me up last night. And then I think he was going to, murder. But the whole town was there. So they could probably have done anything.
Oh, yeah. Or they could have been more...
And by the way, we ruined their ghost amphitheater where they do their blood sacrifices, but I don't know, maybe they have more blood sacrifice amphitheaters around here. I have no idea.
But I understand that the property value is now lower because we ruined their nice theater. I mean, they also could have been really nice about like, excuse me, I assume you already know this, but just in case you don't, ghost house.
By the way, they murdered our dog. I would say... let your dog go or move, by the way. So they just let this family move in and who knows what happens.
Yeah, also
because we didn't get Welcome to Dead House 2.
You know what?
Also,
you know what? The book, the humans are the real monsters, guys.
Oh,
That's it.
keep going.
That's it.
Yeah.
If you were moving into a ghost house, if you were moving into a new house and you saw a family just in a sweaty panic, probably like half crying, even though they seemed okay with everything,
Right.
Just like maybe their wrists looked bound at one point.
hurriedly moving out of your house, wouldn't you be like, oh, hi, I guess we bought the house from you? Or are you our uncle because we inherited it from you? Let's talk for a minute, because is there anything we should know about the house? Termites or something?
Nah, it's probably one of those fast towns where everyone's in a hurry and they gotta go.
Fast.
Was it also strange that they designated a certain house the dead house, and they all just assumedly lived their lives in the neighborhood? Like it was like a cul-de-sac where there's just all of these other houses. Like, it's weird, no one's ever outside, or there's no lights on everywhere, but we're just living alone in this dead house.
I also don't like that it's called Dead House, because it should be called Dead Town, because the house has the only thing that's living.
Yeah.
Right.
Hosts the only living beings in town.
Right.
The town is dead.
Yeah, Dead Town with Live House. That's what the title of the book should be called. Yeah.
And the byline should be,
You'll just live in it.
you'll just love it.
The title should be called Dead Neighborhood minus one small lot, approximately $200,000 value.
Dead neighborhood
it should
with
be-
one house. Also, that's the house that this book is about, where people live.
Stop on by Dead Town, and then the little subtitle or the little text up there, it's gonna say, Petey the dog will run away for about 7 of the 18 chapters. Get ready.
Yeah, what are the lessons learned from this book? As you're supposed to have some sort of lesson, right? Like the kids should learn something. They really don't.
They don't. I guess the parents learn to listen to their kids, but they don't.
Yeah, they kind of like, they don't even seem to say thank you very much. Like, we got out of there.
Chapter 15 with the horror that befalls the town that causes all the ghosts. I read that as plastic is bad. I don't know.
Because it's a plastic
Yeah,
factory.
I guess there's some sort of environmental thing
This is like
going on.
92. People hated plastic at that point. I don't know.
Killer bees and plastic, man.
Man.
So it goes back to the renewable resource energy stuff. Like, yes, also
Sustainability.
find a lifestyle where you can just live forever off a medium amount of blood. Also, plastics never, they might be renewable, but they never go away.
But they're gonna spray that yellow mist and get you.
Well, yeah, like, so let's see, I'm trying to think, what would have been the plastic ghost? Because I remember thinking, like, oh, it's a mine or something, so they unearthed some sort of, kept away crypt demon. But if it was plastic, were they just mixing chemicals?
They were like, hey, I got a great idea. It's going to be blue plastic. Check this out. Yellow gas.
Yeah, or like the new manager of the factory is like, we got to really cut corners on this plastic. Should we get this new chemical called Ghost chemical?
Do you guys want to make dead potion?
Hey, I got an idea. Let's put blood in the plastic and see what that does. Because blood magic won't mix with the plastic and kill us all.
And one guy's like,
cause-
I don't
Boys,
know.
what I'll do, I'm going to go for a swim in the plastic. See you soon.
They're like, well, by golly, that sure looks great. What do we all get in the plastic one?
That's what killed the town, is everyone jumped into the plastic pool.
They're all idiots, and they just sell it as a much more horrifying thing. Like, yeah, we were just minding our own business, and a yellow cloud went over. I was like, really? They were just having a dumb pool party.
We got what we swam in hot plastic.
So the lessons from the book are, don't make plastic.
No.
Check your unknown cousins and uncles to see if you inherit something from them. Be careful.
And if a guy wears a cowboy hat,
Trust no one
Maybe
in a
a ghost.
cowboy hat.
Maybe he's a ghost. I also have, if you're friends with a ghost, kill them because they'll be happy about it.
Yeah,
yeah, you can kill a ghost and get away with it
Yeah. It's a free
pretty
kill.
easily.
It's a free
They'll
kill.
thank you.
Yeah, is there? They didn't really go into it. There's no real guidelines of why they needed to help them out. Like, they're like, it's got to keep an eye on you for a while. Then we're gonna tell you about the ghost thing. Like, just do it instantly. Like, why drag it out? Become friends with them. Just.
Right.
Oh wait, do you think the dead neighborhood ever rejected someone? Like, because think about it. If you make them dead, they're with you all the time. They are your neighbors for theoretically infinity.
Do you think there's a homeowners association for this neighborhood? And they were like,
yeah.
you know what? You put a flag out there. We only allow flags in the backyard.
Yeah, they
You're gonna
definitely
have
had
to leave
homeowners
Deadtown.
meetings where they talked about, like, okay, so should we let the McHales be part of our dead neighborhood? I mean, they've been okay, but He is like part of the Tea Party. I don't know. He's got a lot of weird ideas. Should we let
You know
him
what?
in?
I'm calling Compton. Compton's probably got his finger on the pulse to this one. He's going to go ahead and fix this situation. Old Compton Dawes in his cowboy hat.
But they just gotta drive them out. And if they want them to not live in the neighborhood, I guess they like give the neighborhood. They like would pull pranks on that family or something to get them to move out. They'd all like play music too much and drive down the property value to get them to move out, so they're not.
And
dead.
that's how we got the Burbs.
We get the Burbs, the great Tom
The
Hanks movie.
Burbs. This is The Shining and the Burbs.
Yeah, it's the real curse is the Burbs. That's the real curse that we got from this was the Burbs.
Wait, were we talking curses or morals?
Well, we're talking morals, but also curses are kind of the same thing.
They're pretty much the same thing.
Don't live in the Burbs. It's a curse. That's a moral and a curse.
Yeah, live in the
Fact.
city. There won't be dead cities. That's too much. Like that's gonna
That's
be
too many people for children to read.
Yeah, stay in the cities where it's safe.
Stay in the cities where no Goosebumps will be taking place.
So maybe the best way to wrap this up would be if you guys had a chance to fix the book, how would you make it scarier? Is there anything you guys would do differently?
Well, I really like the idea that you threw out there, which was miners unearthing like this ancient, like kind of like spooky thing. You know, that's a lot more cooler than yellow mist that killed a town.
Right.
And also, who got together and made the graveyard if it killed the whole town there?
Oh my God, you're right. I guess they could have buried their own bodies. Even though like ghosts burying their own selves, that's more terrifying than this book.
I mean, that's what this book is. They're burying themselves. They're perpetuating this like cycle of death through this entire thing. I think the undertone is scary in this book, but they don't do a good job unearthing it.
You know what would make this book scarier? I think my version would be they move into the house, and the first like 10 to 15 chapters, yeah, they're acting kind of weird. There's a little bit of stuff like that. But the real scary thing is they realize that there's termites in the building. Like, oh man, did they get a lemon of a house? And like
the upkeep's gonna be ridiculous on this house.
And they just slowly lose more and more money. And they're like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to pay for this. Like, Dad's writing job is real bad, and just like the horror and the stress, that terrifies me as a 26-year-old. That is way scarier than like ghosts I'm trying to flashlight at. Get out of here.
There's nothing to eat, and you walk into the kitchen, and it's just Dad sitting there writing his shitty stories. And you're like, God damn it, Dad!
And he's like, hey, wait, while you're here, let me run a story idea by you. And you're like, oh, no.
And that's where you yell at him, and it's hot, and you're sweating, and you're both sweating, and there's the sun is setting on you. The ghosts are about to come out. Also, there's ghosts. There are still ghosts. But the horror is the situation your irresponsible father has set you.
Yeah, the really trite story trope ideas he doesn't realize he just took from old books that we all read.
I'm gonna yell, and I'm gonna be sweaty.
That's way more
and
terrifying.
it's gonna be awful. Just think about that. Think about having to yell at someone, having a heated conversation in the hot sun. It's hot and you're sweating. That's more terrifying than this book.
That sounds painful. You know what's really scary about this book, and he could have used it. It was in there. It was in the subtext. There's no Pizza Hut in 1992. There's no Pizza Hut in this neighborhood.
Move out.
There's
Move
no
out of that town.
franchises. There's no Subway in dead neighborhood.
That's a dead neighborhood right there. It doesn't have a Pizza Hut, man.
Oh my God, you're right. It's not a dead house with like full of ghosts. It's a dead neighborhood in far of like it's one of those neighborhoods where a bunch of rich folks who live near like a football stadium all own the properties. To go
And they were like, we
when
don't
there's a
want
game.
Pizza Hut. We don't want Pizza Hut here.
And you're living in just an abandoned neighborhood and have nothing to do. That's horrifying. That's
horrifying.
That's scary.
I've been in those towns though that have been like, we don't want a Pizza Hut in our town.
Yep.
And you're like, no, guys, it's good.
Wait, they're trying to drive. Are they above it? Are they like Beverly Hills?
Yeah.
Where they drive out certain businesses?
Yeah. There's some places back home in Pennsylvania that would do that. They would be like, okay, we're all going to publicly boycott the Subway that opened.
I get like a Walmart, but you gotta have the even like Pizza Hut's like cardboard pizza. I get that, but you need to have the Pizza Hut for those moments of weaknesses, and kind of the same way you need to have pain so you can know pleasure. You need to have the Pizza Hut so that when you have that really premium pizza, you understand and appreciate it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's goddamn terrifying.
Yeah, that's goddamn terrifying. This is how I would fix the book.
Okay.
Get rid of the dog.
All right.
Oh, damn, that's like half the book.
That's half the book, right? We cut it down. It's real short now. We get rid of the dog. We have the brother turn into a ghost.
Okay.
Somewhere in the middle of the book. Who knows? And then the girl gets turned into a ghost.
That's just how it ends.
So everyone just dies.
And then they get in a car and drive away. And then it's like, what? And then they're gonna be this. They're spreading the ghosts. They're turning all of America into ghosts.
Oh my God, that's actually that's way darker. Like it succeeded. They're like, wait, we ran out of houses. I guess we need to expand into a new neighborhood. You just see them.
Oh, suburban sprawl, huh? All right.
And there's scorpions coming down the stairs in the basement.
Wait, no. What would be more scary is if all of these ghosts, who seem kind of privileged and all seem white, this seemed like a very white neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. This is a very waspy-ass ghost.
If they just move into like a smaller city area and just gentrify and just kick out like smaller, lower class people, but they're also make them all ghosts at the same time. So it's just a double scary thing about city
You
spread.
see, every year we need to raise housing prices in a low-income area.
Did you know that I can rent an apartment without a refrigerator or stove?
Here's something I wrote that I thought I'd never write in my entire life.
Okay.
Which is, this seems to be a straightforward affair as far as R.L. Stine is concerned. You know what I'm saying? Like, this one seems like, all right, I'm going to write this series. I just got to write one, and I got to get it out there. Because I know this shit gets bonkers later on.
Oh, yeah, this is
in the
my
series.
theory. My theory is that R.L. Stine made a pretty by-the-basics book.
This is a pilot. This is a pilot book.
It's a pilot, and then at some point, he stops writing them. I'm going to be very curious to try to find the tone and see, like, when he stops writing them.
Yeah.
And like they just like started just do like, okay, sure, hey, random guy who wants a writing credit, like we'll give you $5,000 to write a Goosebumps. Like, what do you got? Like, I don't know, like a comic book villain that's comes alive and he turns other people into comic books. Sure.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Here's $5,000. Go do it. Okay.
yeah, go for it. Very, very amused. I think the main thing is gonna be like, let's follow the journey of R.L. Stine and his madness as we go through this book series.
I agree. And we were researching him the other day. Apparently, he wrote the Fear Street series, which is a teen novel, like actual teen horror novels, before he wrote these.
Yeah. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I didn't realize Fear Street's before this.
Yeah, he wrote those in the late 80s.
I thought Fear Street was after.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because I thought this was the first one, because I assumed the reason that he made the dad a writer was I thought it was a little bit of like here's me, you know, like he put himself into the book a little bit, but apparently not.
We might have to go back. I mean, to answer your guys' questions, we're going to do this chronologically. We're also aware of Fear Street. We're aware of Goosebumps 2000.
Oh, hell yeah.
Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventure. We'll definitely have to dip our toes into those as we go through these.
The next book that we're doing is book 2, which is Stay Out of the Basement, correct?
True.
Oh, damn.
Is that a hard one for you? Is that
Y'all
like
ready
a lot
for
of
that?
stuff?
Look, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a spooky old hand coming out of the basement. And it says on the cover, "Something's waiting in the dark."
Oh, I remember this one. This one's definitely a little darker, if I remember right. If you guys are looking up Goosebumps to read along with us, let us know which ones you are reading, because the covers vary differently. For Stay Out of the Basement, there is the weird plant scientist man at a lab table, which is definitely more of a spoiler of what's in the book. There's the creepy green plant hand reaching out, which I think Dom's talking about. And then there's just just remade covers where like they've just refreshed them for a whole new kid. Where like, I don't know, I guess the hand has like a iPhone or something, like, or whatever it is.
Stay out of the basement. There's no reception there.
I think about wraps up. That's a good first episode. I think that's a good first episode.
I think we really we found what we wanted to say about Goosebumps, and I think we're going to say something similar about Stay Out of the Basement. I don't want to judge too quickly.
Right.
But I don't have great expectations for it.
I guess I don't have expectations for most of this series, other than letting us reflect on our fears as kids and what actually worked and what was actually scary. Because these were like early 90s. We didn't even know what terrorism was yet. Guys, if you're finding this podcast and don't know who any of us are, which just likely how this started, you probably know at least one of us. Guys, tell us where you're from. What else do you do?
I'll go first because my name is hard to spell on Twitter. It's Dom Moschiti, @Dom Moschiti, and Moschiti is spelled Moschiti. TTI. I also do the Fantasy Fiction Podcast with Josh Henderson, and I believe you'll be on it real soon, Chad. Paul's been on it, but yeah.
I'm so stoked to write some wonderful, wonderful fiction.
Dude,
also, don't forget Syndication Station. Also, pretty
Syndication
solid.
Station, our other podcast where we watch TV that's on Netflix. You guys watch it with us. You leave your comments. We read them and talk about it on the show.
And don't be worried. Dom's got 3 podcasts.
I pretty much just live in a podcast now.
You might be like, oh, Dom, the 3rd podcast. I don't know if you can juggle all of these. Dom is a man of incredible endurance.
Indeed.
Guys, I'll read a book. I'll watch a TV. I'll write a story myself.
Paul, what about you? This is your this is your 2nd podcast, right?
Second podcast, yeah. I just want to say Dom is the triple threat, the true triple threat.
You're the triple crown. You take the whole Preakness.
Yeah.
Freddie's coming for you.
Yeah, this is my 2nd podcast. I've been doing a Continue Cast for a couple of years now, actually, I guess, where it's like a book club for video games, and I'm also on the show Continue on the YouTubes, youtube.com/continue show.
No lie, you guys really are like the best show on YouTube. Continue's so great.
Don't say that, but thank you, but don't say that.
It really is. You guys are wonderful. And if you found me, I have this podcast I do with these wonderful guys. I do a conspiracy theory paranormal podcast called Paranoia Shop, which is spelled fancy, SHOPPE. You can find that all on paranoiashop.com. And I work for Polaris, which is a weird YouTube network thing that exists.
It's so weird.
It's a
Disney
thing.
bought it.
Yeah, Disney bought it. I was like, this is interesting. You kids are making videos about video games.
Cute, we'll take it.
I'm a sentient talking mouse. Let's get on board.
And hey, by the way, if you're enjoying this podcast, because guys, we already bought the books. There are more episodes coming. If you're enjoying the podcast, leave an iTunes review. That'll greatly help us out. It'll help us expose us to more Goosebumps fans like yourselves. Guys, we're pretty hard on these books, but it's only because we love them.
True.
Hey, and we checked it out. There may be other Goosebumps podcasts on the internet, but we're the best goddamn one.
We're the best goddamn Goosebumps podcast on the internet.
We already started a turf war with the other Goosebumps podcasts. We're going to go start finding them, talking smack, and challenging them to knife fights.
I'm juiced up on Monster Blood, bro. Come and get it.
Yeah, please go give us a review on iTunes. It actually does help out a ton. You can write to us at goosebuds@gmail.com. We'll have a Twitter account set up. We're going to put this on the YouTubes. There'll be different ways, but please reach out. Let us know what you thought of these books, especially if you start reading along with us. That's going to be the real fun thing.
Yeah. And I want to hear what people have to say, and I also want people to write in about what they want to hear us talk about the Goosebumps books. You know, give us your talking points, this and that. You know, right now this is the beginning, but we definitely want this show to evolve as we go along.
Guys, newsflash, we're weird nerds who are on the internet all day. So if you leave a comment, we're probably going to read it. So leave one. We live on the internet. If I'm not working, which is sitting in front of a computer looking at the internet, I'm enjoying a little relaxation of playing a video game, which is sitting in front of my computer and being on the internet.
Yeah, the scariest thing to us would be if you took out the internet.
That's Stay Out of the Basement. That's what's so scary about that book. It doesn't have the internet down there. That's horrifying.
Is that about a guy Jay Owen in the basement with his green hand?
Hey, don't go down there from 3:30 to 3:45. That's Dad's J.O. time.
That's Dad's J.O. power hour.
That's when Dad works out down in the basement.
And I'm putting that in quotes because I want you kids to find out what that means later in your life.
Hold on real quick, just so you guys know, I did send a form letter to the other Goosebumps podcast offering them a house from their uncle that they don't know existed.
No.
It's a dead house. I rented a dead house for them, guys. They're going to be dead soon.
Oh, got him.
Compton.
Just call me Paul Compton Ritchie.
I can hear the cowboy hat.
Guys, thanks so much for listening again. Please tune in for the next episode. Stay out of the basement.
And until next week, listener beware. You're in for a scare.
Thank you so much, Tom.
And we totally didn't try to do that 4 times, guys.